So, Britney Spears is a pivot for the the mainstream media that's going to survive. If there is going to be any mainstream media, like if you see 5 years down the road, if you think like 5, 10 years down the road, what's the mainstream media going to be like, right? And it's because Britney Spears, because the mainstream media is who sent Britney into that conservatorship. Like, remember, like, she was the for infotainment. It was the go-to to like mess with Britney Spears. It really was. You know what I mean? And like, if you look at the mainstream media coverage, it's almost non-existent. But right, the LGBT community and and a big show of being like happy or proud of Britney or with Britney for her fight, because you have to remember, while Britney is alive, we have to be saying stuff like justice for Britney, like free Britney Spears and justice for Britney Spears, and she's gonna come and get it while she's alive. She's shitting on fools. She's shitting on people. She sharded on motherfuckers because after she got her conservatorship overturned, right? She said it's not enough. It's not enough, right? And you know, the media is gonna, before they really get on Britney's side, they're gonna start acting like she's Q and shit, like she's leaving cryptid messages, is like on some QAnon shit. But she's just fucking relating where she's coming from, because you know that they do not want to give a platform that up for free that someone's not gonna actually take. And this is gonna be the person who where the rhino, you know, the RNC, the rhino neocon Republicans are gonna finally figure out they're gonna pivot. They're gonna pivot. They like to lose and lose gracefully and walk away with their head bowed down. That's their disease and shit. It's not gonna be enough. It is not gonna be enough, because you have to remember that those Hegelian dialectic, they're twin, they're friends, they're married. They need each other to hate each other for everybody, for the dichotomization and for the limited hangout for their to escape. And otherwise they would be able to come up on RICO Act charges and shit. But we all think that they're great. Now, why we think they're great, it's not really our fault. Like, some of this shit is like a repetition to set up for to bore you, but to desensitize you, and then slip the truth in when you're not ready to receive it, right? And that has to do with how these lawyers speaks and shit get out of trouble, because they'll change the definition of a conjunctor word, one of those words like if and is, where you can hang on what they mean, but they'll just tell you that it depends on what that means and let them out. You know what I mean? They the ones that know it's a piece of paper. Whereas if I tell my neighbors or whatever that that paper doesn't mean anything, they don't have the capacity to really know what you're talking about or believe you, and they shouldn't, unless you're actually supporting them, giving them advice. If you're a lawyer, you probably wouldn't do that, because then you have to represent them or whatever. But maybe that's a good thing. Anyways, we're in a sophisticated class of serfdom that was brought on to by a conservatorship, where, if you notice, like, there should be a lot more apps in the app store. There should be a lot more apps, but you know what I'm saying, there should be thousands and thousands and thousands of apps. But there are functions that are within our capability with the technology, and things that we can't do. If you noticed, like, otherwise company could just start up and say, we want to have a message board and and give people conference space on our server. They can have conferences. Like, that shit is you're gonna die. Like I wouldn't like they'll kill you for that shit. But it's some shit we can, I mean, if you really got close to it and you wasn't one of them, and they're trying to, like a multimedia conglomeration, become like a public representation firm. There's a conflict of interest when a PR firm, right? It's also has to do an advanced marketing campaign. If you understand what I mean. If you understand what I mean. There's some doubling over. There's some like conflicted interest. It's conflicted interest. When a multimedia conglomeration becomes a PR firm, because they just absorbed a whole, like that's part of, that's like one industry that you can use the technology, and you have a problem whenever some amplifier of your will, a technology, can be used for good or evil, not because it could be used for good or evil and it exists, but because there is an organization, usually with no agency, that everybody considers to be reputable, and for that they will make sure that nobody uses the technology for evil. And then you have a big problem. Does that make sense? That makes sense. Like the LGBT community is now going to be on for a little while. I mean, it's laughable. It is laughable, right? But they're going to be considered a fringe group of terrorists too. You know what I mean? Because they're afraid of Britney. They're afraid of Britney, and it's going to red pill a lot of people because they're going to see that they've been getting lied to and everything. But it's like they'll work with these themes and shit because they know that right around the corner is the moment that the people want to use it on them. So they used it so that we can't use it because we just freshly remember. We just freshly that we're supposed to get justice for this person and that person. I'm not going to get into names specifically or the political aspects of the case, right? Because you don't really want your case to be politicized. You know what I mean? Like there's some weird things about it. I'm not saying that it's broken. It's just that you can't how to think about it. You know what I mean? Because we only convict based on remorse, but because you could say people have not been remorseful and have been convicted too, but they were held not fit. They were not fit to stand trial until it was like undeniable that you have enough solid evidence to move forward, because we actually convict them for being stupid and dumb, right? Bobby Hemmett said this. It has to be dumb and stupid and dumb, right? Or show remorse. And either one's gonna happen. The human is an emotional creature, so just by virtue of telling them that you can be convicted based on remorse doesn't necessarily mean, right, that they can forego having an emotion, and it's a tell. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times the criminality comes from it's engineered, right? There's a history capacity for the fact that it's the modern the effect of modern invention, right? But what was I gonna say? Freaking when we were born, when you're naive and young, right? There's a time when you have some leeway where you might actually think you don't really know what a cop mentality is, and you think that they're not gonna look for drugs in the baby's diaper bags. You know what I mean? You think they're not that you can hide shit there because cops are not gonna look at it. But once you figure out that they will look at it, right? Then you become like uh, on par with like evil genius now. You can you it's like you could get more you can be more repercussion responsible for your actions and shit, because you're not a little kid anymore. Like, your kids really think a cop is got there's some there's a perimeter around the baby supplies or something like that where cops would never look or something like. See, you know what I mean? See what I mean? And then you have to be wary of arguing for people must be incompetent when they're actively corporate gang stalking or doing some old side buster shit. You know, high-tech assassination, it doesn't involve like laser beams and satellites and like there's no high-tech shit. Like, there's vapor, like vaporware, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like a vaporware. It's not really have to be implemented by physical technology, right? Okay. But it reaches this weird context definition that sounds like it's a sounding word, like something physically tangible. So you're not going to be able to get to certain places and conversationally with some people are gonna, and you shouldn't, because maybe they're the ones that were effectively lied to, because they don't think that's possible to process. Then they're not going to process, and they're not going to let anybody process who's around them too. And they need an excuse to live somebody else's life. Like, they need like a science law or an excuse for where it's a good cause and you're being mindful by checking everybody and making sure that they are giving up what they need to sacrifice for the better good. Munchausen police, the Munchausen cops, they actually use the police for everything, including being the like bringing control and stability back to the family after they demeaned all of the the men that are or like an effort that somebody was making. They try to act like they're not supportive or something like that. They don't want to recognize progress. They don't want to recognize effort. Instead, they're just like they're just like worried about them. I don't know I don't know about that one. All right. And then they'll tell you like high side, and they'll tell you pick a side shit, and all the tough talk and come out of somebody. Like, before that, they were just like a feeble little Swiss, like an old Swiss miss. My friend said that. He said like you would think that they were the army, but they like a old Swiss miss or something, like, you know what I mean? Like pearl clutching, covetous pearl clutching and shit like that. But they're progressive or something like this. Like, you can't even not be political around those people, because they have to assume that you align with, or that you're not on their then they have to compartment. They have to give you a label. Yeah, it's just whack. Back in the day, all the liberals thought that was whack. We were all liberals, and we all thought that some shit like that was like Little John. It was like immature, right? We all thought that was whack. So they social engineered the whole community to not have this, right? And whereas, like, there were some liberals that was more based than I was as a young person. Yeah, I know, you know what I mean? And now you have to imagine that they are all down with the bullshit, and I just don't know. You just don't know. You know what I mean? Like, you're saying that people are always going to be the same, you know? and then, well, like it's not a human feature or capability to redirect your frame of your field of thought. Like it's never been done. This is a rant. This has got to get some shit out. I don't even know what I'm trying to get out most of the time. I'm just trying, maybe something will pop. You know what I mean? Because it's a whole psyche. You know what I mean? Yeah. We should know what whack shit sounds like instead of when they run back and check with your big homie or with whoever. You know what I mean? Like whoever the last person who lied to you. It's gonna really be like not a choice because asking for advice and shit and don't take it, and then you want to bring those fuck ups back around. You want to bring them fuck ups around and shit, and you know that they know that you already said some shit to them, and and to try to be supportive of your friend, type of shit. We're gonna have to let them know that we're ready to roll or something. And I mean that sounds like brave and everything like that, but the streets will rep you. They'll represent. And if you could be honest about why shit floats downstream and shit, and maybe you're above that. You know what I mean? It's weird, right? Like surrender is a powerful weapon. It sounds like you're surrendering. How is that a powerful weapon? That's like the last resort. That's when they take away your weapons and you surrender. No, it's because you're now above something and you are now under something. It's the moment that you surrender, you are now under something, and you are now above something else. You're above something and you're under something, and you're making that decision. Somebody, my neighbor, like these are things that I should have already. It's like I already, like that should already make sense. But it's I don't know. It's interesting that people will tell you exactly what you might be looking for as far as perspective is and shit. Like average cats know a lot of shit. It's just that you're not. It's like the liberal hegemonists don't want you to associate that with them, that they never said that. It's like you're not supposed to. You know what I mean? Because then they want to role play filler. Like they want to role play an expedient position that somebody could have, but only when it's convenient, right? Maybe that was something that somebody told you that they didn't want to have to tell you, or something like this. You know what I mean? When you start breaking headway and making progress, then it gives those people a problem. It gives them a problem, and you would think that I'm insignificant. Why would they bother? Why would they give them a problem? Well, because the same thing that's happening for you is happening on a massive level. You know what I mean? You have to imagine that people know what's up with what time it is. Even the enemy, even the ones that are being idiots. You just have to imagine they know what's up with what time is. You know what I mean? Because even intellect, you can still be a shard. You can still be a shithead, right? Like even with ingenuity, genius, and talents and everything, you could still be a shithead, right? I still maybe can't trust you on your perspective, or you might have said some prolific shit, but then it seemed like you're the last person to actually live like they know what they just said or something. And assume that you'd have to stand by and watch a lot of people make dumb decisions because they've already been warned. They have to learn from adversity if they won't. Because they'll drag your energy. you'll get dragged. Like they made a pact or something. New information comes out that challenges the narrative, and then they're not free to speak willingly. Like you're not free to speak. All those little clubs and everything that you're used to not be able to fit into, and then you should be grateful that you didn't. And then there's whatever that you got going on that you have to balance or whatever. Like everybody comes with that. And then it's something significant about when people make that headway, when they make that progress doing the work, that tries to act like it's not, like they don't deserve it. Whatever, they don't deserve whatever progress they're making because they used to be this or they used to be that. But that was for you. That was for them. Like they used to like to be able to throw a lot of shit your way because you already fucked up a lot. You already make bad decisions. So if they made a bad decision, you are the culprit. So that comes like what type of game. That's what type of what's it called? When they say the ball field or whatever, that's the type of environment of conditions that they appreciate. Then you can't become a better person, right? And so people can tend to embellish a lot more than they thought that they ever would have to if they bit off more than they can chew. So then maybe that's why those old tired hustle is like looking to the next generation to keep it going, to keep it going. And everything they saying about the next generation and everything, they're trying to build up your head and everything to want to go out and impress them or some shit like. And then keeping it real, you're gonna go to jail. Like you're gonna be in, if you keep it real, you see. Then they gotta bail you out. Anyways, this was about Britney Spears. Jesus Christ, 22 minutes and 50 seconds. And I'm not talking about that anymore. So I guess this video is over.